Welcome to this explainer. Look, today we're taking a completely different approach to the chaos of modern life. We are essentially handing you a practical, tactical survival manual. Because if you feel like your attention span is shrinking, your anxiety is spiking, your privacy is vanishing, and your financial future is suffocated by a Wormwood economy of debt, well, you're absolutely not alone. In fact, if the biblical Wormwood star is actually a metaphor for a modern rocket, your traditional savings plan just isn't prepared for the nuclear winter of your wealth. But surviving this whole shebang isn't about running off to a bunker in the woods. It's about understanding these specific systems that are literally designed to overwhelm you and deploying precise strategies to beat them.
Okay, let's dive into this. When you read the book of Revelation, the biblical account of the end times, you see these terrifying visions of total global collapse. But what if we zoom out for a second and just look at our daily lives? Between endless notifications, digital tracking, hustle culture, and constant comparison, the modern human brain is processing an apocalyptic amount of stress every single day. We're basically walking around with our internal fire alarms sounding 24/7.
Just look at how closely the ancient text maps to our modern reality. When John the Apostle received his vision, he saw the breaking of the 7 seals bringing famine. Today, we have the famine factor, where global disruptions cause food prices to soar, hitting the poorest the hardest, leading to chronic burnout and exhaustion. He warned of the 6th trumpet, global mounted troops triggering massive economic headwinds. He described wormwood falling from the sky to poison the waters, which feels exactly like our toxic 24/7 news cycle, constantly reminding us of the nuclear winter of our wealth, inflation, and the crushing headwind of household and government debt. And the mark of the beast? A system required to buy or sell? Yeah, that looks suspiciously like the always-on digital surveillance tied to the smartphones in our pockets. The world might not literally be ending, but our nervous systems for sure think it is. Section 1. Surviving the mental spiral. Let's get into our first tactical phase.
You cannot thrive in a chaotic world if you're operating out of a constant state of panic. It's just not going to happen. We have to learn how to take back control of our biology. So the crucial point is this. We need to physically trigger the parasympathetic response. When your brain perceives danger, even if it's just, a super intimidating email from your boss, it fires up your sympathetic nervous system. It pumps cortisol and adrenaline into your bloodstream, making you want to fight, flee, or just freeze. And here's the thing. You can't simply think your way out of this by telling yourself, hey, don't be anxious. It doesn't work. You have to speak to your body in a language it actually understands to prove that you are safe right now.
And here is a highly effective bottom-up approach to do exactly that. The 5-4-3-2-1 grounding method. It forcibly yanks your brain out of its scarcity-driven mental spiral and anchors you quietly to the present moment. By actively engaging your 5 senses, like really describing the color of the wall, feeling the texture of your desk, or zeroing in on the hum of your computer, you're sending a direct, soothing physiological message to your brain. You're literally telling it, look around. There's no tiger chasing us. We are safe.
Now, if you need an even faster biological hack, neuroscience gives us the physiological sigh. This is a hardwired mechanism in your body. When you take a sharp double inhale through your nose, you pop open and reinflate the tiny air sacs in your lungs. Following that up with a long, slow exhale through your mouth acts as a massive dump of carbon dioxide from your bloodstream. It is hands down the fastest, most thoroughly proven way to eliminate the stress response in real time. It instantly shifts you toward calm. But what happens when that panic hits at 3 a.m.? We've all been there, right? Nighttime insomnia is often just your brain running forced updates. Think about it. If you distract yourself all day long with podcasts, music, and endless scrolling, your brain never gets a chance to process its worries. So the moment your head hits the pillow and it's quiet, it unleashes a dump truck of anxiety. To survive this, you need to do a brain dump on paper before bed. Literally write it all out, and then intentionally shift your perspective to gratitude. Practicing gratitude changes your brain's perception from a state of scarcity to abundance, which finally signals that it's safe enough to power down and sleep. Section 2. Hacking the dopamine trap. This is survival phase 2.
Now that we've secured the nervous system, let's address the next major apocalypse we're facing: the total hijacking of our motivation and attention spans. We are living in a world that is completely engineered to drain our drive. Look at the stark contrast. Why does a 3-hour social media scroll feel completely effortless, but 15 minutes of deep work or studying feels like actual physical torture? It all comes down to one word: dopamine. Endless scrolling is perfectly engineered to feed your brain instant novelty with zero effort. You are basically mainlining pure dopamine. Meanwhile, studying demands deep focus and offers a delayed reward, putting it at the absolute bottom of your brain's pleasure scale. So how do we fix this? You have to intentionally lower your dopamine tolerance so your brain actually starts craving the effort of hard work and learning again. Start with just 15 minutes of a daily boredom detox. I mean it. Sit and stare at a blank wall if you have to. Experience that digital withdrawal. Then, frame your work using the Pomodoro technique. 25 minutes of intense focus, followed by a 5-minute break. Crucially, give yourself micro-rewards, like actually drawing a star or a physical checkmark on paper. You are literally gamifying your own brain to find pleasure in effort again. Section 3. Escaping the Digital Matrix. Survival Phase 3. Next up in our survival guide, digital privacy. Now, you might think you're browsing anonymously, but the physical SIM card in your pocket acts as the ultimate tracking device, pinging your exact location to cell towers 24 hours a day. And this brilliantly illustrates the problem with trusting a single device to protect you. Even if you run a VPN on your phone, research has shown that modern operating systems actually bypass that secure tunnel all the time. Literally, apps like Wallet, Health, and even all your push notifications can leak your data directly back to corporate servers. Your phone's operating system acts as the ultimate gateway, and it decides what gets hidden and what gets shared, completely regardless of what you want. To truly survive the digital matrix, you have to separate your connectivity from your personal device. By removing the SIM card from your phone entirely and using an anonymous mobile hotspot instead, you successfully silo your data. The hotspot manages the internet gateway and runs the VPN. Meanwhile, your phone stays safely in airplane mode, completely severing its constant location tracking chatter with cell towers. It's an absolute game changer for your personal privacy. Section 4. The boring job advantage. Moving from digital threats to career survival, let's unpack a massive modern trap. From the time we're young, we're fed this romantic idea that we need to find a job we love and we'll never work a day in our lives. But the actual data behind this illusion tells a very different story. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how so-called dream jobs in exciting industries like fashion, gaming, or cutting-edge tech often feature incredibly toxic hustle culture, huge staff turnover, and surprisingly lower pay. Why? Because there's an endless line of applicants willing to be exploited just to be there. On the flip side, generic, boring corporate roles often pay much better. For instance, median employees at legacy, boring automakers like Ford or GM have historically made thousands more than those grinding away at Tesla. Boring companies also tend to feature experienced managers who actually respect your stable boundaries. The ultimate career survival tactic is totally redefining your relationship with work. A boring job protects your peace. It prevents toxic managers from weaponizing your personal passions against you. Go to work to make money and use that money to avoid the rent-seeking trap of the modern economy, where people stop creating and just charge others to survive. Instead of merely surviving, become the lumberjack. Use your capital to invest in table saws. And by that, I mean productive assets that add real value to the world entirely on your own terms in your own free time. Section 5. Building unbreakable resilience, our final survival phase. For this last section, we need to talk about your armor, because taking control of your nervous system, your dopamine, and your boundaries, it means you are inevitably going to step out of your comfort zone, and that means facing rejection. I want you to really absorb this perspective from entrepreneur Dan Martell. Rejection is not the opposite of success. It is simply the price you pay to become a better version of yourself. Fear is usually just FEAR, false evidence appearing real. If rejection scares you, staying stuck in the exact same place should absolutely terrify you. You've got to reframe rejection as redirection. Think of it like a giant cold-calling gumball machine. If you know that only 10% of the gumballs in the machine are the winning blue gumballs, you wouldn't sit there crying trying to convince a red gumball to magically turn blue, right? No, you'd just crank the handle again. Whether you're in sales, dating, or applying for jobs, detach your self-worth from the outcome. Success is just an unemotional process of sorting through the numbers to find the people who actually want what you have. And when that visceral, in-the-moment fear does hit you, use Mel Robbins' science-backed 5-second fear hack. Biologically speaking, fear and excitement are the exact same physical state. Racing heart, sweaty palms, it's the exact same nervous system response we talked about earlier. The only difference is what your brain decides to label it. By counting backwards out loud, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you interrupt the panic loop and awaken your rational prefrontal cortex. Then immediately insert a positive anchor thought and tell yourself, I'm not scared, I'm excited. You literally trick your brain into using that adrenaline for fuel instead of panic. Ultimately, choosing to live intentionally, choosing to fiercely protect your mind, your time, and your goals is going to make you uncommon. And normal people will always judge the eccentricities of true leadership. They will tell you you're crazy. Let them. You don't need to get angry or try to get even. Embrace the opposition with stoic confidence, block out the noise, and let your results speak for themselves. True, undeniable success is the only statement you ever really need to make. Which brings us completely full circle. The apocalyptic visions of Revelation don't just end with fire and brimstone. They conclude with the promise of a peaceful, harmonious new earth. Yes, the modern world is chaotic, noisy, and trying its absolute best to overwhelm you. But you do not have to be a victim to it. You now have the tactical tools to ground your nervous system, protect your dopamine, reclaim your privacy, and bulletproof your mindset. The chaos is out there, but what kind of personal paradise are you going to build for yourself in here? So here is your takeaway. Stop relying on a fragile system and start building productive value that can survive the world's most bleak economic forecasts. Keep building, stay focused, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.